Alright. We're good. Alright. Yo. Okay, all that shit's done. Great. Should watch all the major expansion trailers for Genshin. Yeah, I might do that whenever I play the game, if I ever play the game. Okay, that's done. God damn, this guy just wants me to do everything. What is this? Oh my god. Okay. Have you gotten your dental appointment scheduled? I have. It's the 24th. That's right. Okay, so what's this here? Navia balance training. Okay. I guess I should do this. It's not available today. Okay, well that sucks, dick. Oh, I have to go to that one today? Okay. I'll do that later. I don't feel like doing it right now. Is there a ball up there? Maybe it's down here. I don't know where the hell fucking it is. Okay, you only do 2 each day and it's a random location? Yeah. I think, like, with this game, one of the things that I'm not really a huge fan of is the amount of ways that they are, like, trying to force you to play. Like, they try to force you to play this way or that way or whatever, right? And I'm not a fan of that. Okay, give me actually 1 second, and we're gonna get this started, okay? I'm gonna watch a couple of videos. Much later, okay. I'll be right back while this loads. Okay. Ah. Okay, let's see here where we at. There we go. All right. So let's go back over here. I'll just close the game for now, and let's just look around. Is there anything else I need to do? No, there's not. Okay. Elden Ring is disappointing. Let's go. Yeah, I was gonna watch that because I just thought it would be interesting. Have you ever tried Destiny 2? Have I ever tried Destiny 2? No, I have not. One day I will try it. I just don't know when that day will be. Okay, let's see here. Let me minimize this real quick. And the first thing I'll watch is, is this one here. Why Tower of Fantasy failed in China. The game just recently came out, and I think this is the first thing I want to look at. So this is somebody who I'm assuming probably played it in China, paying a lot of attention to Tower of Fantasy. In China, share why the game is quite infamous in China. So we're going to take a look at this. Never knows best. Oh, is this the Elden Ring video? Where the fuck is it? This one here? Yeah, it's an hour and 40 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to watch an hour and 40-minute video. That's probably not going to happen today. Here we go. It's a 10-hour video. It's an Elden Ring video, so it probably wouldn't be. The person who made the video has a Genshin Impact bias. Let's just see what he's saying. That's the way I see it. Let's see what he's saying.
Hype game on 2022. Currently, Tower of Fantasy quickly become one of the most hyped game on 2022. Currently gathering 3 times more viewers than Genshin Impact on Twitch. With multiple big YouTubers also covering the game before it even released, I think you will be surprised that this game is actually not very successful on China, which is where the games come from. If you look at the popularity chart on Billy Games, which is sort of Play Store for China, you will see that Genshin is pretty much always on the top. By the way, the rank 1 is only there because the game will be released tomorrow. I assume it will drop down very quickly after a while. If you are curious,
Genshin Impact is like #1 in China is what he's saying, right? It's like this game's just on top. Like, I think you can make the same argument for Tower of Fantasy even on Twitch. Is that Tower of Fantasy will probably fall off a lot on Twitch after, you know, like the drops campaign ends, and like I know they're doing like multiple ones, so like as soon as that's over, viewership will go down. That's what happened with Lost Ark. That's just that, like, that's the way it goes, and it's not like the game's bad, it's just that's the way that people consume content. It's the same as that PoE on Friday, whenever the league comes out, is going to be fucking massive. It's going to be like the biggest game, but then 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, 2 months after, it's not going to be. There's always a rotation that people go through with every game, whether it's Genshin, Tower of Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, like any of this, Lost Ark,
about a game. I will
even
showcase it tomorrow on my channel. It's a rather interesting game.
I think
Back to find Tower of
me.
Fantasy on the popularity chart. You can see a lot of familiar titles such as Arknight, Azure Lane, Minecraft, Red Grand Order, Honkai Impact 3rd, and many others. But Tower of Fantasy, it's not found. It's not even in the top 50. When you search up the game, you will realize the downloads for Tower of Fantasy pales in comparison to big titles. For example, Genshin has 189 million downloads.
190 fucking million versus 10 million. And like the best thing about it, I love, like, bro, it seems like the fucking Chinese reviewers are savage. Like, the top game is rated 3 fucking stars, and Tower of Fantasy was 2 stars. It's not like how it is here, where it's like, oh, good game, 5 stars, sounds good. No, they're like, good game, not really. You know, 2 star.
And Tower of Fantasy only have 11 million. Arknight has 225 million. Honkai has 145, and Punishing Grey Raven has 70 million. This is weird because the game is not bad, so what is actually happening here? In order for me to explain what happened, we first need to understand this. The social credit system. Remember this meme?
Oh no. How does this even relate?
Well, it's not really a meme because the social credit system does exist in China. It's a system that judges your worth based on what you do. If you do good things, you get points. If you do bad things, you deduct points. Just like how the government judge the citizens, the gamers also judge the game. Not just the gameplay or graphics, but also the social responsibilities. There is a nickname for Tower of Fantasy in China. Tower of Fantasy in Chinese is called Huanta, but the nickname is called Tota. I roughly translated it to Tower of Death. This comes from that one Tower of Fantasy here. Once they realized video for it to Tower of Death,
I can see. I can see why they would say that. You know what I mean? Like, I could see a world where that exists.
This comes from that one Tower Fantasy promotional video for Meryl, which they steal Honkai Impact weapon asset as shown here. Once they realize people are not actually stupid, well...
Oh! It's Tower of Theft because it was just like Genshin Impact, and because Genshin Impact is like that's like the premier game in China, people view it as like just bullshit. So they're not talking about stealing your money with gacha. Well, yeah, why the fuck would they be saying that if Genshin's the fucking #1 game? I mean, seems like a bit of a double standard here. So I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
They remove it. Another one comes from them plagiarizing an animation video made by a small Japanese creator. As evidently shown here, you can see there's a lot of similarity. It got on so bad that even the original creator tweeted a complaint on Twitter, and of course Tower Fantasy apologized by blaming it on a third party. Okay, fine. Promotional video are typically outsourced, so they can blame it on third party. But what about that one time where they copy Genshin 5-star reviews using a bot? So what you're seeing here is the review for iOS for Tower Fantasy. So before this happened, there is a very game break.
See, it's like, whenever you think of all of this context, is it really that big of a surprise that they're so shameless to lock supply boxes behind time gates? Like, it really actually makes a lot of sense whenever you put everything into context. It's like, oh, you have to fucking wait 3 days for this arbitrary period of time that we've just invented for you to open up this box. It's Tower of Time Theft as well.
Bug happening on Tower Fantasy, which makes people review bombing Tower Fantasy and made it go down to, I think, 3.1 rating. And yeah, it's pretty bad. But suddenly the rating gone 10. Up to 4. And naturally, the people feel something is not right. And then they went on check the 5-star review. Guess what? A lot of review are pretty much done by bots. As you can see, there is a comma and a dot. This is because it's made by bot, which is why every single comment has this thing. And why is copied from Genshin? Well, this word is actually Yoimiya in China.
Okay, yeah. I see. Genshin stole assets. Here's the thing, is that I think that I do find it to be hypocritical that people are critical of Genshin Impact. Critical of Tower of Fantasy because Tower of Fantasy was derivative of Genshin Impact, but Genshin Impact was incredibly derivative of Breath of the Wild. I will say, though, that it seems like over time Genshin Impact has evolved to have its own identity. Like, over time, this, I do believe, has generally happened. Whereas, at the beginning, it did seem like this was very much derivative of Breath of the Wild. You know, this is, you know, Breath of the Wild plus waifus and gacha. And it's improved since then. You know, we have the cinematics, and there's actually, apparently, there's a story to the game. And it would make sense. Like, I don't know how people in China originally approached Genshin Impact. Right? Did they originally like it? Did they originally say that it was the same thing as Breath of the Wild? Probably not, because Breath of the Wild isn't a Chinese game. So it's probably, you know, maybe a little bit of nationalism there or whatever, right? I don't know. But I think it makes sense that people would feel that way. And that's, I think, what the difference in a lot of people's minds would be between Genshin Impact and Tower of Fantasy, is that Genshin Impact has since then evolved beyond being derivative of Breath of the Wild, and it's evolved into its own thing. And Tower of Fantasy, it seems like, has not really done that yet.
And I didn't know Tower of Fantasy has Yoimiya. Okay, fine. Maybe the bot is not made by the official. Maybe someone else made the bot just to screw Tower of Fantasy. It is possible. So let's leave that aside for now. Let's talk about
unlikely.
In-game. So about this move. I don't know if it's heavily inspired or straight up just they ran out of creativity. Guess what? Honkai has this move as well. Pretty much exactly the same, except for a little bit of difference in the visual effect. Yeah. I mean, it's up to you. There's also a lot of weapons, have a lot of similarities in Honkai. Is that copy or is it heavily inspired? I don't know. Are they just lazy, not making their own unique weapons? I mean, it's up for debate. There are also a lot.
It's probably a little bit of all the above, where like they stole a lot of stuff themselves, and then they also were like, yeah, well, they probably liked the game. They thought the game was cool, so they took a lot of stuff as well. I think that if you understand a lot about, like, you've played a lot of video games over the years, you'll see that this happens a lot. Like, this is actually, it's extremely common that, like, video games will just straight up steal systems from other games. It's the same thing as, like, streamers, right? It's like, remember Ludwig did the subathon, then everybody's doing a subathon after that. There was a time that people didn't use, like, as soon as, like, I think, like, I was one of the first people to start using this mic and this camera, because Reckful suggested for me to, you know, Reckful was using this camera, and then I was like, well, Reckful's got great fucking video, well, I should use the same camera as Reckful. So I asked him, and then I bought it. And then somebody saw me and they're like, wow, well, this guy's getting a lot of viewers, he's successful, I'm gonna buy the same one. And then people did the same thing with the mic. Look, the Shure SM7B, this is the mic that I have. This is the main mic that like 95% of like high-end streamers use, and even podcasters use as well. It's extremely common. I'm actually thinking about getting another one to try out a different mic, but I don't know yet. But either way, this is definitely one of the main ones, and it's like, it's $400, right? Which is a reasonable expense if you're talking about, you know, a business that you are already reasonably successful in. I think that's a $400 business expense is extremely reasonable, and especially for how long it lasts. And I think this happens with everything. The point I'm getting is like, streamers do this, video games do this, movies do this, and I think it's the same thing as like the DC extended universe. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you just did this because Marvel did this. But nobody gave a shit about the DC extended universe whenever the Snyder Cut for Justice League came out, because the Snyder Cut was fucking awesome and Darkseid was amazing. And it was exactly how you would have expected them to be. So nobody really gives a shit about this stuff, about copying. It's just that your copy has to be good. That's the difference. The copy has to be good. The Genshin copy was good. And it was also, it came into its own. It became its own thing. You see kind of what I'm saying? Marvel and DC copy each other. Well, there was even a joke. Didn't they have this was in like the 80s, where they had Darkseid literally tell Thanos that he was a knockoff of Darkseid in the crossover comics? I'm like 95% sure this happened. So it's like, yeah. And yeah, they literally said it because, and they admitted it. They're like, yeah, you know, of course, right? I mean, Thanos was pretty cool. Darkseid was pretty cool, so we're going to have our own Darkseid. He's going to be like this, too. Yeah, of course.
A lot of servers issues during the launch of the game. There are like maintenance for every single day during the launch of the game. There are game-breaking bugs that I said just now.
Man. Some things never change. So what he's saying is that there was already a launch of this game that had game-breaking bugs, and now we have even more game-breaking bugs.
That make the game got 3.1 rating on the Silly Game Store, and I'm gonna slightly explain what the bug is and why a lot of whales actually left the game because of the bug. This is quite a long one, so bear with me, okay? So the first bug happens when people realize you can use another device to force login while you are completing a transaction on the first device, so you can get double the currency you pay for with this method. And then eventually people realize you can also use this method for
yeah, we gotta like, so can anybody translate Chinese for me? Because I need to look something up after this.
Dungeon reward as well. So people start to get insane gear by just keep refreshing the dungeon by logging in from another device. And you know, in Genshin you have these artifact system where you have a lot of variables. So you can get like 5 lines of damage, or you can get 5 lines of health. Well, Tower Fantasy have that too, and people are using this bug to pretty much keep on resetting the stats.
Yeah, re-rolling.
So what happened is a lot of people get insane gear by a very early game. I mean, people don't really have to grind every day to get those artifacts that has the top tier stats, because they can abuse this bug. But of course, Tower Fantasy went on an emergency maintenance, and their solution is to prevent you to log in on a second device if you already logged in somewhere else. People who abused the bug before are banned. Not long afterward, people realize another bug again, which you can get unlimited SSR weapon. So I wouldn't.
So this is like the new world of China.
get into how they do it. Basically, they have something about messing with internet connection and the game client. They could like claim the item and then...
So let me guess what they're doing. They're using an IP blocker to block one of the IP addresses of the game and then probably claim the item twice. It's basically a lag switch. Exactly. Yeah. There are other things you could do in like WoW and other games that you could do this with too, so I know about it.
Turn off the internet connection, and then after they turn back the internet connection, they will have another SSL weapon, something like that, right? So turns out some people started to have all the weapon without even paying for the game. And of course, all the whales are really angry because people spend money to pull, but some free-to-play player just got them for free. But of course,
I think that's good. I think that's funny. That's actually funny to me. I remember, what was the game that this happened on, where like everybody got like a free skin and like they got a bunch of free stuff and like the whales were mad? Was it Lost Ark or fucking Diablo Immortal? I don't remember which one. And it was just like, if you're gonna get mad about that, think about why you're mad about that. Why are you mad that you are able to spend more money than this person and get ahead of them? Like, in my opinion, if you just took the gotcha out of these games, the game would just be a better game. Like, period. It would just simply be a better game. So, like, any time that somebody finds a way to exploit the game and get what whales are paying for free, that sounds good to me. That's what they get. I mean, like, really, if you're spending money on a video game, and it's like, I spend money on the video game too, right? But like, number one, I'm a streamer, I write it off my fucking taxes. Number two, I've got plenty of fucking money to spend. And number three, I'm making videos about it. Like, if you're sitting there in your fucking house, you're not making any videos about this, you're not doing anything, you're just fucking buying armor in a video game, I'm sorry, but I am not sympathetic to your problems if somebody else gets it for free. I don't give a shit. I think it's funny. That's what you get.
Tower Fantasy found this out. They do an emergency maintenance again. They close their server down and then do a repair, and you can kind of imagine what will happen here. The whale are angry. The players can't play the game because there's constantly maintenance. I mean, the bug of this game is very, very plentiful. Like, they fixed the bug, but then after the maintenance is over, people just found out another bug, and they have to do emergency maintenance again. I mean, it's funny because after the server repair, people found out another way to dupe the compensation over and over again, and people even started to use cheat engine to duplicate rewards. And you have so much bug that sure, some people might get banned, but there evidently some people just didn't get banned and enjoy all those free currency. And even mention,
this is what happened with, damn, I need to do this. This is I mean, like, exploiting the game, like getting things for free in the game, like, I can understand, like, I don't care about people being able to get like whale rewards for free. I think that's fine because I think the whaling thing is dumb, right? So like, anytime that you can get something for free, that's fine with me. However, like, some of these things you do earn in game, like you can earn these in game through activities, so like you shouldn't be able to do this. It does devalue the game. It's kind of like in New World. Remember whenever they had the Void Ore glitch, and then you had people that were making fucking, like, let me think of how much making, like, maybe 7K, 10K per Void Ore, and then it went all the way down to like 2K in a week. That's bad.
The bug or whatever on the chat, the in-game chat, will get you a 1-year mute, and their player just talking about it, not even like abusing the bug or anything. They got muted and they cannot talk in the game. A lot of people are just straight up disappointed in the game. Whales are not happy. They want a refund for the game because they spend money, but then this is what they get treated for.
They spend money, but then other people get the item that didn't spend money, and so now they're not special anymore and they want their money back. No, I hope they don't get it. Well, actually, I do. I think that, I've said this before, is you should be able to refund all microtransactions for any video game. Like, I mean, in my opinion, with like really no no reservations, right? Like if you buy something like last year and like maybe a year, I don't know, but it should be more than a month.
Some other guy don't even need to spend money, they get all the stuff. And yeah, the game has a lot of problems during the launch of the game, and that caused a huge wave for people pretty much just left the game. They make videos complaining about it, people know about them, and people are
I haven't done this one yet,
even
apparently.
not talking about these game breaking bugs, there are still a lot of minor bugs exist in the game, such as you can float by doing something, I don't know. And for the China version of the game currently, there is a battle royale mode. And guess what? There are
I wonder if that's actually any good. People are asking like, how do you differentiate between buying DLC and microtransactions? I mean, it like one of them is content and the other one is not. I mean, like if like what's the difference between like what like the old Hunters DLC and Bloodborne and buying 10 pulls on a gacha game? Like what do you think? You don't know what the difference between those two things are? Well, fuck that. No, I think they should be able to get their money back, because I think it serves as a disincentive for games to have features like that. And I think also, like, you have parents that, like, their kids get their credit card or something like that, and they just make purchases like this. And yes, of course, it is the parents' responsibility as well, but it's like, at what favors are you doing to the public by allowing allowing this company to hold all of that money, to take the money from the parent? Especially for charging for, a tremendous amount of money for something that really has, like, just no intrinsic value at all. So yeah, I think it's one of the things where it's like, yeah, consumer rights. Like I as much as I think it's funny that whales lose their money, like, it's hilarious to me. And in a way, I hope they don't get their money back. I do hope so, because I think they're assholes. But at the same time, it's like you can't have it work that way, right?
Lot of hackers in the battle royale as well. So leave the technical things aside, there is also a very fundamental design flaw of the game, which is the game, although being an MMO, is actually quite pay to win. Now, the pay to win aspect of the game is not very apparent, but the power creep on Tower Fantasy is actually very strong. Power creep might be fine for a game like waifu collectors or majority single player game, but it is not a very good thing to have on an MMO that have PvP, where pretty much strength is everything. And if you are a free play,
I think that's a problem that Diablo Immortal had. I mean, is that you have PvP and pay to win at the same time, and it's like, okay, well, people are going to be pissed off about that. Why wouldn't they be? Now, you can say that it's not pay to win because certain things are equalized, but my understanding is that if you don't have certain weapons, and certain weapons are harder to get if you don't pay to win, like, let's say you get unlucky and you don't have the scythe and the guns and, Nemesis or whatever, and like a new character comes out, and new character's meta now, so like you either have to spend money or you're playing outside of the meta and you're losing. So it's like, oh, okay, well, fuck, like, what are you supposed to do there? So, like, it is pay to win, but it's like binary pay to win, where it's like you either have the character or you don't. It's not scaling pay to win like Diablo Immortal, where you just go into a battleground and you've got the same gear as you would have outside of it, and you just beat the shit out of people.
Player, and you want to keep up when they keep on introducing power creep. Well, guess what? You cannot keep up. It's just impossible to keep up. But actually, the most important reason why Tower Fantasy is not popular on China is actually because the game itself. The game actually pulled a lot of Genshin player toward it because it has a lot of similarity with Genshin. And believe it or not, they actually advertise themselves as the Genshin Impact Killer. I mean, the post is already removed because of how stupid it is once they realized they posted it. They also say it's like the game award winners. Like,
I remember it was like Aeon or like Rift, one of those two games. Like, they even posted about how they were the WoW killer. Like, and I don't even remember which game it was. And people felt the same way about that back then too.
God. A lot of controversy, but let's forget all about the controversy. Let's forget all about the bugs and the pay to win aspect of the game. The game is not polished, and I think this is actually the main reason why Tower Fantasy is not popular, because this game is so similar to Genshin Impact, and Genshin Impact has a huge player base, and a lot of players from Genshin go ahead to try.
It's like, why go over and play this?
Wow, Genshin is so much better. They dropped the game. I mean, if you play the game, you'll realize the combat just feels cheap. The world is actually not bad. I like the world.
I would agree with that.
Tower Fantasy, nice. But the combat just doesn't feel polished. The 2D.
The problem though with the world is that it has the same issue that New World has. Like you're fighting against the same hyena NPCs throughout the entire game. Like I'd like to see a little bit more mob variation. It does seem to be kind of copy paste, which I mean makes sense since, you know, well, they're gonna copy paste other people's stuff. I mean, they're gonna copy paste their own stuff too. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Of course.
Character's design is also not great. I mean, I play a lot of gacha waifu games. A lot of games have fantastic art, but Tower Fantasy, I feel they lack a lot of appeal. And it's such a shame because they clearly are a high budget game. Why not invest more into the
why is she
character
wearing
design?
Clothes?
I'm not sure. Basically, the social credit of Tower Fantasy doesn't look so good. So my prediction for the global version of Tower Fantasy is pretty much the same. People are currently getting hyped for the game because this game shares a lot of similarity to Genshin Impact, and Genshin player will try the game just to realize the game is not as good as Genshin. And it's not Tower Fantasy's fault, honestly. It's just because Genshin is too good. Genshin is too ambitious, and other company simply cannot compete. Don't take this.
Well, that's probably true. Like what he's saying is probably true. Like Genshin Impact does seem to be almost like the World of Warcraft of gacha games, and he's right about this. So like for example, let me show you. So let's see here. This is something that Genshin Impact has that a lot of these other games don't have. Look at this right here. Genshin Impact to become the most expensive video game as it nears second anniversary in 2022. Like whenever I'm saying that like Genshin Impact is a very popular game and it's hard for other people to compete against it, like, I'm not saying that because I'm a fanboy of the game. I'm saying that because this is what I've read. Like, these are the numbers, like $100 million, right? Is that it? Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Initial budget of $100 million, and they issued a statement mentioning that it costs $200 million per year to produce new content and keep everything running on schedule. Now, you would think that's a lot of money, but look at this. Genshin Impact revenue. $3 billion. Genshin Impact makes $1 billion every 6 months. So whenever you hear 200 million, you're like, wow, that's a lot. But it's actually not. They make more than 200 million in a month. So yeah, it's overhead. It's developing new content. Like Genshin does develop new content a lot faster. So the problem with that is that every other game that's out needs to compete with that. They need to compete directly with Genshin Impact. And so people, like, if you bring out a game and it doesn't have some comparative advantage against Genshin Impact, then nobody's going to play the game. And that's how they corner the market, is that they are already the biggest game, and so they just get bigger and bigger and bigger because they have so many competitive advantages over all of their other competition. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what makes sense. Invest into other games. Yeah, exactly. Like Honkai Impact and Zenith Zenless Zero or whatever. Exactly. I like Tower better. Well, what I'm saying is that, like, even if you like Tower Fantasy better, I can almost guarantee you that, like, the content cadence is going to be much higher on Genshin Impact, which is going to, on average, I would assume, retain more players. Like, that's just what's going to happen. And it's like, yeah, Genshin solo, not online. Well, I think that's a big factor too, definitely. And Tecton reaction video for more context. So I mean, if there's anything I need to know, I'm curious about it. Genshin has no content, man. I mean, it depends on what you call content. Like, it doesn't have like 40-man raids as far as I know, but it has things that keep people engaged in the game. Like, I don't really care about like what somebody calls content or what somebody doesn't call content.
video as me telling you not to play the game, you can honestly still enjoy the game, try it out and see if it's for you. But I'm just here to inform you what happened over on the China side.
It's good
to know
this.
The revenue for Tower of Fantasy currently on China is honestly growing. I mean, not as good as it used to be.
Oh my god.
For a gacha game, they are doing alright. Although I'm not too knowledgeable about how much money they are spending to maintaining the game, they're earning about the same as Arknight, even though it's a little bit lower.
That's a lot.
So yeah, that's about it. Peace.
Boob equals money.
We got some pretty big news.
It's that simple. We'll watch this in a minute.
We got some pretty big news for Diablo 4.
Yeah, I heard that. Let me go back over and look at this here. So this is generally the way that I see it. I think Tower of Fantasy definitely, because it was already stealing from a existing, it's like WoW is just so big in the US that every other game that comes out, every other MMO or even fantasy game, a lot of times it's judged in the context of World of Warcraft. And I'm assuming that over in China, they do the exact same thing with Genshin Impact. So whenever one of these new gacha games comes out, it's always compared to whatever the gold standard is. So it's every shooter game used to be compared to either Halo, Call of Duty, or Fortnite or something like that. And there's always a gold standard game that things are compared to. RTS games, real-time strategy games. Still, what are they compared to? Either Age of Empires 2 or StarCraft 2. That's what I would say. It's mainly StarCraft 2. Primarily StarCraft 2. Civilization is a little bit different genre, but if you have a game like that, you're right. Any other game that's like Civilization is compared to Civilization. Exactly. And so TOF, Tower Fantasy ripped off props, font, and other aspects for other games 1-to-1. Oh, I'm not denying that happened, and I think that's probably why people disliked it more in China, and people don't care as much here in the US, is because people have no real investment in Genshin Impact here, in the same level that they do in China at least. So people probably don't care about it that much, and they're more disconnected from that. But it'd be the same if they brought out a game that was almost just like World of Warcraft, because it's a game that's based here in the United States versus Genshin that's based in China. So it would make sense that people would be more sensitive to that are part of that endemic culture. So anyway, I think that the problem, hearing about the whales getting fucked over is funny to me. Save the whales. And yeah, they had that emergency shutdown as soon as that happens. And then afterwards, the rest of this stuff is it being better than Genshin Impact. Now, I think this video is primarily just about how the game is not as good as Genshin Impact and is also derivative of Genshin Impact. I think it's fair. I will do a review of the game once I do most of the content in the game and I play it thoroughly. And I'll look at it from a pay to win perspective for a free to play player, etc. And I'll try to do what I did with New World and give you guys as much of an honest shake as I can, but we'll get there in time. He's very biased whenever it comes to Genshin being better. Well, you know what else is very biased? The entire Chinese population. So it's you can say, oh, well, he's biased about the game. Oh, he's biased. But the whole population of the country seems to think this. So at a certain point, even if you think that it is bias, you should take into consideration what he's saying. And the numbers are biased. The thing with Tower of Fantasy being popular in the US, I know that at the beginning he compared it to let's see, let me see here. Can I just go ahead and do this? He compared it over to Genshin Impact, and Genshin Impact only has 10,000 viewers. Of course, that's going to be the case. It's the same thing that whenever Lost Ark has a new raid come out, it's going to eclipse all of the other MMOs in viewership. When Final Fantasy has a raid come out, it's going to eclipse all the other games in viewership. Now, outside of main releases, World of Warcraft and Lost Ark are the two most popular games on Twitch. That's just what it is. Those are what the numbers show. And outside of that, I think Tower Fantasy is going to be below them. I think it will be above Genshin Impact on a regular basis because it's a multiplayer game. So you have more chances that Twitch as a social platform will also appreciate and enjoy watching social experiences. I think that makes sense, but it depends also on how the content comes out. Also, I think it will be above Final Fantasy just because Final Fantasy, it seems like it's just not a game people like to watch. That's really all it comes down to. Outside of MSQ reactions and, like world first content and stuff like that, people don't really like watching the game that much. And so Genshin isn't really a streaming game. Yeah, I think Tower Fantasy could lend itself a little bit better towards streaming, but I don't know enough about Genshin Impact to say that. I also want to say that, like, Genshin Impact is not an MMORPG. Tower of Fantasy is an MMORPG. I think that it's fair that you can compare viewership of different games inside of the same genre. But whenever you're comparing an MMORPG to an RPG, you're going to lose something there. Because people watch a game for different reasons in different genres. So as soon as you start adding in, like, for example, Clash of Clans isn't very popular at all on Twitch, but it's bigger than pretty much any other game on Twitch. Why is that? Well, it's because there's not a community around watching mobile games in general. Like, there's no mobile game that's popular, so you're not really comparing Clash of Clans with other games. You're comparing it with other mobile games, other like strategy-based mobile games. So I think that's what's important, and that's what you need to think about. But they're on you like Candy Crush too. I think Candy Crush is a great example, like Roblox. Yeah. So play Genshin and give us an honest opinion. What's better? Yeah, sure. That'll take me a while though. I doubt those 500K were actual people. Apparently they botted. I think that you have a lot of people, especially on the release of a game, that want to try it out or at least watch it. Because there's a lot of people, like how many of you guys watched me play Tower of Fantasy? Maybe you're still watching me playing it, and you haven't downloaded the game, but you're thinking like, oh, well, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with the end game, and if the end game is good, I'm going to play the game. I think that's the case with a lot of things. Genshin botted too. I think that it's just as simple. Like, if you introduce drops, you will have people that are outside of the Twitch audience that will just watch the stream for drops. A good example is, like, do you remember how, like, XQC lost, like, 600,000 followers in one day? And the reason for that is because a bunch of people made follower bot accounts in order to follow bot his account to get Valorant keys. Like, and this happened to Summit, this happened to Nick for like a different reason. This has happened in many cases. So whenever you introduce something like drops or any sort of a reward system inside of viewership for Twitch, you can throw all of those numbers in the garbage. However, if the viewership difference between the viewership of the game before and after drops is very small, you can clearly indicate that there is not that many people playing the game. So for example, with New World, whenever New World goes up 2,000 players, whenever they add a drop campaign into the game, that's probably a good indication that a lot of people don't care about the game. But if they added drops for World of Warcraft, or they've done it for Lost Ark in the past, it went up tremendously because the game, and Escape from Tarkov is probably one of the best examples, is that Escape from Tarkov massively pops off. Why does it pop off? It's not because it's the game, it's because of the drops. So does that make sense? And yeah, I want to download, but I saw shit's pay to win. Yeah, I think so. All 500K Genshin viewers are baby raging because of 3.0. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. But Tarkov's actually good, though? It doesn't matter, because people will watch a game for drops because they want the rewards inside of the game. And also, because Tarkov's viewership goes up substantially whenever they have a drop campaign, that would indicate that the people that are watching the game are actually players of the game, of course, because those extra people would be watching for the drops. And if you are invested in the game, you would care about the drops, because if you don't care about the game, you wouldn't care about the drops. So if you're doing it and you're watching the game, that would be an indicator that that many people actually play the game. So if you have a tremendous increase in viewership between drops and no drops, that means, or no drops and drops, that means that you have a lot of people that are playing the game. It's just logic. It's fucking common sense. You just think about it. So, Genshin, you have to master a new character, which normally takes 3 days max. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. The thing is, I'm not gonna make a statement about like which game is better because I've never played Genshin Impact. I've only played Tower of Fantasy, and I played it for 3 or 4 days. What the fuck do I know? Stream attack don't get much more emotional responses. Genshin's very bad for multiplayer and repeatable content because so many content creators get frustrated. I don't think it's the video game's responsibility to provide a platform for streamers to make content with it. However, there is a mutual gain. So, like, I don't think it's their responsibility. However, it is better if that's the case. That's why, for example, a lot of video games have like anti-stream sniping policies and harassment stuff, and you know, they'll help streamers with other things because it's just something that's like, it's common sense. It's like, well, they're getting rid of somebody who has, you know, bad intentions, and they're also helping somebody who's benefiting the game. So I think that's one thing, but you should never expect to just play one video game as a streamer and hope that that video game will encompass all of your content in perpetuity. It's an unfair expectation, and I think that expectation was actually put on World of Warcraft with actual content by the players. So the players think that, oh, well, this game has to, you know, it has to be entertaining for me for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever. And guess what you get out of that? Well, you get endless artifact power grinds. You get, you know, artifact knowledge. You get Titan forging. Like Legion, you know, Blizzard was like, oh, you guys feel like you're not able to play the game enough and there's not enough things for you to do? All right, fuck you. Here's Legion. And you know what? We got it. And you could play the game 10 hours a day, and you'd be better than somebody that played the game 5 hours a day. And guess what? I played the game 10 hours a day back then. It was awesome. However, I'm very glad that it's not that way anymore. So, you should not try to make the game appealing, like, or you should not try to expect that one game will always appeal to an audience, or will always have content that people want to see. I think that the Final Fantasy players, ironically, actually have the best they have the best outlook on this, is that they know this about Final Fantasy. They know the game is not going to just be infinite, endless content. They play through the content. They love the content. They appreciate the content. And then they move on to play other content. It's a healthy relationship with expectations. World of Warcraft players do not have a healthy relationship with expectations. So Genshin Impact, I think, also, you know, for content creators can be disappointing in that way. And also because Genshin Impact doesn't have a lot of other games that it is adjacent to or like tangential to, it's harder to, let's say, transition from playing Genshin Impact to playing PUBG or to playing Albion Online or New World or Sea of Thieves, because the gameplay is just so much different and the aesthetic is so much different. Like, for example, it's pretty easy to go from playing, I don't know, Warzone to playing Apex. Even though they're completely different paradigms in games, like in terms of it, you know, like, oh, you using like laser guns in this gun, you know, using an M16 in this game, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Even like Fortnite to PUBG, like they're all generally the same type of game. So I think that's the reason why Genshin Impact creators would be more frustrated than creators for other types of games, is because Genshin Impact is really one of the only games that is like Genshin Impact in that category that people like watching. I know World of Warcraft streamers have the same problem with WoW. I went on like a super long tangent about this, but hopefully you guys can see like why I think some of these comparisons are very circumstantial. So I'll link the video again. I think this is some good insight that I didn't know about. So make sure to give this guy Nerf-a-me. Make sure to give him some support. He's only got 5K subs, right? So might as well give him a little bit of support, man. I think this is good. I'm glad to see it, and I think it's a very useful thing to see. No one cares about Genshin creators, though? Well, I think that they obviously do. If they didn't care about them, they wouldn't be trying to cancel them on Twitter every day. So let's go back over. We're going to look at this Diablo 4 monetization video. Now, obviously, this came out yesterday, and I was going to watch it maybe a couple of days. It came out yesterday, so watch it a day ago. Diablo 4 monetization plans leaked. Force Gaming has been, he was huge with New World. Like, this guy, in my opinion, is, I take what he says pretty seriously. I like his videos a lot, and we're going to take a look at what he has to say about the Diablo 4 monetization plans. Whenever I saw this, I actually Googled it. I didn't really find a whole lot, so I'm not sure what exactly he's going to talk about. Let's go ahead and do this. 3.0 trailer. Yeah, I might watch the Genshin 3.0 trailer after this.
For today, thanks to... We got some pretty big news.
Please be pay to win. Oh, I hope so.
For Diablo 4 today, thanks to surveys Blizzard has been sending out, hinting at...
Okay, so this is probably in some European language. There's no V's and W's, and everything doesn't look misspelled, so it's probably not Polish, but maybe German? I don't know. Yeah, I think German, yeah. Let's see. So these are option A, B, and C. So this is, okay. So they're doing the same paradigm as World of Warcraft, where you can get like the base game, the heroic game, or the mythic game.
Some of their specific plans for monetization. On top of that, there were also a few leaks from the Friends and Family alpha test showcasing character customization, difficulty options, info about looting, and in-game trading, or the lack thereof. But let's go ahead and start out with everyone's favorite topic first.
Pay to win.
That is monetization.
Okay.
Apparently, Blizzard has been sending out customer surveys recently, displaying various pre-order and special edition bundles for Diablo 4. The first one of these actually surfaced earlier in the month on October 3rd when a screenshot of a Korean survey leaked, but being in Korean and just a screen grab that was only reported on a Korean site that I was unfamiliar with was kind of hard for me to verify the legitimacy. However, just yesterday, a complete version of this survey in German was posted online. This not only appears to verify the Korean one from a few weeks back, but it's also more understandable to me knowing a little bit of German. Oder auf Deutsch, ich verstehe ein bisschen Deutsch. Not that that is necessary, because Google Translate exists, of course. Okay.
My dad knows German. My family on my dad's side is German, so I'm sure he could probably read it, probably half of it. But I don't know. I don't know any myself.
Okay, so specifically, the survey presents various pre-order bundles asking users which would they prefer.
Right.
From this, we now have a list of at least some of
wait a second. Oh, Mount Armor. We're getting right back down to the fucking beginning, aren't we? Holy fucking shit. Back ornament, platinum, in-game currency that can be used to purchase current and future cosmetic items. A battle pass with premium rewards for playing, cosmetic only rewards, early access to the game. Oh wow, so you can play the game early. Now that's tremendous. Because the thing is, like, a game, and if it has limited trading, it won't be that big of a deal. But the odds are that they, like, what was leaked is that the limited trading only existed for unique items, and unique items will not manifest themselves until maybe 5 or 6 days into the expansion, or into the game release. So if you buy the game and you get it early, you will be able to have all of those low-level items that you can sell at a premium that are rare and blue items to new players that start playing the game on the second wave of the release and on the actual release of the game. So this actually does give you a tremendous advantage. Like, I think you can look at a lot of parallels. Anybody who's played PoE, like beginning of League, like beginning of League, like they're making changes now with like Exalted and Divine Orb. So like I don't know what it's going to be like now, but remember back in the day, like maybe a year ago, Exalts are always really cheap at the beginning, and then they get more expensive, and then Chaos Orbs are always really expensive at the beginning, and then they get cheaper. So it's the same general thing. Is if you're able to make a tremendous amount of money. Like if you get rare, like tier 16 maps, like you get I watched a video of this guy that sold like Death and Taxes, which is like one of the most annoying fucking maps ever in PoE, and he got a headhunter on like day 1 or 2 from just selling Death and Taxes maps. Whereas Death and Taxes, 2 weeks after League release, is like 10C. 10 Chaos Orbs, which is like nothing comparatively. Yeah, head start in MMO is tremendous. Like, that's all I'm really trying to say, is getting a head start in the game is actually a massive advantage. And if you understand the way that the economies work in the games, you will see how beneficial it is. And I think PoE is a great parallel to compare them.
What they are intending to sell. The short of which is this. There will be a box price, of course. This will vary depending on the bundle. Plus, the following items will be available for purchase. Cosmetic armor for your characters that, according to the survey, has an unlimited number of uses. And being cosmetic, we will assume it will not affect gameplay. Mounts will...
That's fine. I think that selling... If you're going to have a game that you regularly update, I think that selling cosmetics is completely fine. The problem is that they never said that the cosmetics were BOP. And there were games like Lost Ark, for example, you can buy cosmetics and sell them. In Black Desert, you used to be able to buy armor sets and sell them. So, you know what I mean? Like... That's you still can, yeah, but it was like one of the first ways. I remember whenever they did it and people were complaining, it's like, oh, it's pay to win now. And I think that that's a very important little distinction.
Will be available for sale. Interesting note here, they say that this feature unlocks after completing the campaign, but of course you'll be able to buy a mount before you can use it. Duh. Mount armor as well, which they say is cosmetic only and has no effect on gameplay. Back adornments such as cloaks and wings, again, they say this has no effect on gameplay. Now for some of the fun stuff. There will be platinum. This is an in-game currency that can be used to purchase existing and future cosmetics from the cash shop.
So this is the obfuscation mechanic. Basically, platinum is being used in lieu of United States dollars or European, EU, euros, whatever the fuck it is, or whatever. The reason why they have this is that, oh, it's not $17, it's 1,000 platinum. And people are like, oh, 1,000 platinum, it's not that much. They don't really know how much money they're spending.
A battle pass, which contains both free and a paid track, rewarding cosmetic only rewards. They are really driving that home in this survey. And then finally, early access will be for sale. Depending on the bundle you purchase, you will get either 2 or 7 days of a head start.
Right. So, okay, let's talk about cosmetics. I think that if you're selling cosmetics, it's totally okay, even if the game has a box price, because the game will be continually developed throughout the existence of the game. And I think also it's a very good way for players and consumers to say 7-day head start. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first thing I want to talk about the cosmetics is that there is never... Like, I want Blizzard to come out and I want them to say definitively that you will not be able to sell or transfer any item between players for gold that is cosmetic that you can obtain on the store. Like, I want them to very clearly and explicitly say that. Because I think that, you know, again, Lost Ark does this. It's a fucking roundabout way of pay to win. World of Warcraft does this. You buy tokens and then you buy the gear, right, on the auction house or something like that. Or you buy tokens and you pay somebody to carry you. So that's the thing. BDO does this. A lot of games do this. So I got a bit of taste with the cake of the mortal. Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what's going to happen. For gold or for invites to appear on stream? Well, I think that it's also just anything that you can spend real money on that can be translated in a transactional way into an in-game advantage. Because you guys remember Diablo 3, what was one of the most expensive things in Diablo 3? It was gems. It wasn't even gear. Gems were the thing that was like super fucking expensive. You needed so many fucking gems to get like a flawless pristine. I remember I finally got my first green one that gave me like 100% crit chance or whatever. It was fucking massive. And you can buy and sell gems, I'm assuming, in Diablo. And so that's probably going to be okay. And the reason why I think that is that, you know, like gems are not legendary unique items. They're just, you know, like basically a commodity, but they're also valuable. So I don't know, man. I don't know, a perfect manticore was expensive as fuck. A perfect Manticore was expensive as fuck, but there was also 1,000 other bows that had crit damage, crit strike, and attack power, and a socket that were equally or sometimes more expensive. So, like, that's what ended up happening. Like, with Diablo 3, you guys remember this, and this is the same thing with PoE. Even Chris Wilson talked about this in the recent announcement, is that he viewed it as a problem that a lot of the uniques were garbage. And with original Diablo 3, this was the same problem. Yes, you had things like Witching Hour. Yes, you had things like Andariel's Vision. But you also had a lot of other ones that were just literal fucking dog shit. And the odds are that a lot of the items that, like, the top players had were either, like, just perfect uniques or, you know, just, like, perfectly rolls rare items. Because rare items effectively could roll the same stats as unique minus a few special items. Scorn? Yeah, Scorn, the two-handed axe. I remember that. I had that one.
So the bundle prices ranged from 40 to 150 euros.
Sorry. Well, I'm going to let him get in to talk a little bit about the head start, but I think a 7-day head start is the same thing as pay to win, personally. I think a 2-day head start is pretty close to it. I feel like Lost Ark was really on the edge with having a 3-day head start. Any head start. I think a head start is not necessarily bad because it gives the developer time to stagger out the releases of the servers. So you don't have, like, a massive, like, effectively a run on the bank. I get why they want to do head starts, but I also think that it's something that is good for developers, and it offers no functional advantage, or there is no value add or value proposition for the player. There's only a value loss by not putting everybody on the equal playing field. Does that make sense?
And the survey was several pages long, presenting different price and offering configurations, at the bottom of which the users were asked to select which of these they preferred. And I assume everyone just picked the cheapest options that gave the most amount of stuff because, of course, I mean, I get it, they're doing market research, but it's also just a little bit funny to me. Like, yeah, I'm going to pick the cheapest one that's got the most things included in it. That is the option. Just automatically select it for me, survey, okay? Now, as to the contents of the survey, what it reveals, and what I think about it, we have known, of course, since Diablo 4 was announced that the game would have cosmetic microtransactions in addition to its base box price. Although part of me had hoped that they wouldn't go down the path of monetizing every type of cosmetic in the game. It seemed
I wonder why he thought that wouldn't happen. I mean, yeah, I wonder why would he possibly think that? Because you've got back, like, what are they going to do? They're going to do the exact thing that PoE does. They're going to monetize spell variants, probably. They're going to monetize the mounts. They'll monetize the armor. They'll probably monetize crests or some sort of, like, character frame thing. They'll just do what PoE does.
like that is going to be the case. We've got skins for character armor, weapons were mentioned, cloaks, the back adornments, and mounts. I mean, that is just about everything you could sell a cosmetic for, short of them having skins for like your attacks and your spells.
That's
totally
not coming
possible
till
that's
later.
Coming down the road. But yeah, they've got skins for literally just about every type of cosmetic that exist in the game attached to our characters. Although I was hoping that they wouldn't sell cosmetics for all of these things.
I think that it's only bad whenever the cosmetics are the only cool thing in the game. PoE, I think, is on the borderline of this, because you do have really cool looking items like Starforge, you have Calm's Heart, Calm's Roots. Let's see, what are some of the other really cool items in PoE? I'm trying to, like, give me some more examples. Comms, I said comms, like that was the first one that came. Oh, the brass dome, right? Like that one looks really cool. Maven helmet, maybe Tabula Rasa, I don't think so. Aegis Aurora, Ivory Tower, Cosprey's Malice, there's another one. So as long as you have, like Steven from Ashes of Creation actually said it the best way, is that cosmetic items are totally okay, but whenever the cosmetic items completely overshadow the in-game items, that's whenever you have a problem. Like New World, ironically, actually did a great job with this. The New World cosmetics that are on the shop generally are pretty hit and miss, and I think some of the items in-game look pretty cool. So there's like some level of parity between that.
I'm also not surprised. I assumed we would be getting some variation of these different elements. We're getting all of them, but I assumed as much. Again, not surprising.
Of course.
However, as is so commonly the case in a lot of AAA live service games nowadays, they had to go. I
also want to say that a lot of people that were telling me like, oh, well, Diablo 4 is going to be totally different than Diablo Immortal. You're just being a fucking doomer, like some weirdo, and, you know, you're just trying to farm hate. Don't you find it ironic that they're using the same word platinum, which was not used in any other game for World of Warcraft or any of their other fantasy games at all, as far as I know? And now they are using the same word platinum in a sort of like reserved context of currency in the same way that it existed inside of Diablo Immortal. I mean, like, you know, isn't that a fucking convenient, it's a pure coincidence. You're right. A pure coincidence. Warframe? Oh, Warframe was made by Blizzard. Thanks. I forgot about that.
Extra mile, and they are selling a season pass in addition to early access, and it's just so disappointing. That's on me, I guess, because Blizzard doesn't have a track record that should inspire optimism as of now, right? But here's the thing, like, on their own, season passes are frustrating systems designed to induce FOMO and get you playing every day so as not to miss out on your rewards. I mean, it sounds like I'm reading from a dictionary definition here, and I know you have all heard this spiel before. I'm sure you get the railing against battle passes and why they're an issue. I don't need to retread this ground, but I will say this: although I dislike the trend of so many live service games having these, seeing a battle pass in a free-to-play game like Fortnite, I get it. The game is free, and so a season pass functions almost like a subscription that a lot of players will spend $10 to $20 on every like 1 to 3 months, depending on the game and the season length and all of that. But here's the thing: Diablo 4 has a base box price. At the minimum, it looks like it's going to be $40. I'll assume that it'll be $50 or
I'm assuming $60. Like I think $50 or
$60 probably.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be my money. I think that the thing is that the difference between Fortnite and Diablo 4 is that Fortnite, the free-to-play version of Fortnite, the same thing with Warzone, offers no additional content. Like, there's no campaign, there's nothing to it. So effectively with like Diablo Immortal, or sorry, excuse me, Freudian slip there. With Diablo 4, you're getting the campaign and you're actually getting content that exists at a baseline, and you could logically make the extension that the content that exists and is added in the future is what the battle passes and cosmetic things are there for.
$60 games, let me just say this, $60 games should not have battle passes. That's my far out, right?
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I don't think that I do. If a game is being continuously developed over years, $60 is probably not enough to fund that continuous development in perpetuity. Also, $60 for a game was first introduced in Xbox 360 era, Xbox 360, PS3, those types of systems, and those came out in somewhere around 2005, 2006, maybe 2000. I know probably not later than 2008. Think about anything else out in the world that you bought in 2007 that costs the same amount now. Almost nothing. But the problem is that gamers are very inelastic. They're not willing to pay as much money as inflation has required that games cost to make. So I think that it makes sense that they're going to have these extra things because they can't charge $90 for a video game. They can't charge $100 for a video game anymore because people just refuse to pay it. You see what I'm saying? Like, like video games actually have not increased in price a lot at all in the past 15 or so years. Like in 2007, I think video games cost about the same box price as they cost now. Was our wages aren't increasing? No, wages are absolutely increasing. Like, I'm not going to listen to that. I went to Five Guys and they had on the door that they were going to pay people $16 an hour. Fucking 15 years ago, they were not paying people $16 an hour at Five Guys. Like, I remember because I was looking for a job then. Real wages aren't increasing? Oh, so you're using the logic of like, because like, so you're saying like Like, I know all the charts, guys. Like, I know all the charts. I know that wages and productivity has stagnated ever since, like, the fucking 80s or whatever. I know all this. But what I'm saying is that even despite that stagnation, the number has gone up. But that number has not gone up with games. It just simply has not. Like, I was looking for a job, not all the time, but I was looking for a job very regularly back in like 2008 to 2011, right? Before I started working at the IRS. I was looking for jobs constantly. I could not find a fucking job that would pay me over $10 an hour. Now, a lot of places pay over $10 an hour. That's just a fucking fact. Now, I'm not gonna say that my personal experience living in my part of Austin, Texas is the same in the entire fucking country. But all I'm saying is that on a personal level, this is what I've seen. And I think that wages have generally gone up. But wages probably have not gone up at the same rate of inflation. But we're not talking about wages. What we're talking about is the price of video games. The price of video games has not gone up, but inflation has. So it makes sense that video games will find other ways to make money in order to sustain the same general level of profit. What's this here? Let me read a few of these. Games in 2007 were just overpriced a lot because it was a niche market. Games were just overpriced. I mean, but people paid it. Like, nobody complained about Halo 3 being expensive. They just bought Halo 3. Nobody complained about a lot of the games being expensive. They just bought them. It takes a lot of games, cost $80 to $100, $1,200. If it takes my games to cost $80 to $120 to not have bullshit gambling trash, I'm all for it. No, people aren't going to spend, nobody's going to spend $100 on a video game. Like, unless it's the new God of War or like a handful of other games, nobody's going to do this.
Especially a $6 game that also has an in-game cosmetic shop should definitely not have a battle pass. That's where I'm coming from here. And speaking of the shop, of course, it's going to have its own digital premium currency, as mentioned in the survey. We've got this thing called Platinum, which, by the way, you 100% can guarantee will be offered in bundles that are just shy of the price of the items that they're expecting you to want to buy, because that's the entire reason in-game shops and games have digital currencies. They could just sell you the skin for $20, but why do that when they could sell the skin for 10 platinum coins? But that $20 bundle only gives you 8 platinum coins. Oh, shucks. Guess I'll have to buy another $20 bundle. But then after purchasing the skin that costs 10 coins, you now have 6 coins left. What are you going to buy with that?
Well, there's something else for 9 coins that you can buy, but then you already have 6, so you might as well get the 4 bundle, but now you have 1 left over. So, well, I can buy 1 more and then I can get the horse flag. It's like, okay, well, so now you're spending $50.
Absolutely nothing. So fork up another $20. On top of that, they'll probably toss you a few pity platinum coins here and there, but it's not them doing you a favor as much as it is trying to get you to think, well, gee, hey, now I got 3 free coins. I only need 7 more for that cool skin, so let me buy another one of those $20 bundles. And please try not to just roll your eyes and think I'm being hyperbolic here. This is literally...
It's not hyperbolic at all. It's what makes sense, because it would be the best way to get people to spend money. It works with free trials for everything, whether it's a free trial for a news service, free trial for a video game, or a free trial for crack. Everything has a free trial where you get part of it and then they take it away from you, or they put it into perspective and they're like, oh, well, you know, it's going to get you all the way in. It's scummy, though, because it works. The thing is, like, I don't really care about whether something is scummy or not, because if you worry about whether something's scummy or not, all you're going to do is just get upset and mad all the time, because everybody does scummy things for everything, and people are animals that are evolved to survive, and the people that are the best at it are the ones that are doing it the most. So whether you get, like, it doesn't really matter whether you like it or not, it's just what's going to happen.
The exact reason digital currencies exist in games. That is the purpose. It's kind of like gift cards, right? Like, they're expecting you to have money left over that you in your account that you eventually forget about and just never.
And so I want to say one thing. So it's not always scummy. Final Fantasy XIV is actually fantastic. So Final Fantasy XIV is made by Square Enix, and Square Enix also has they're literally, Square Enix literally sells NFTs. So they view Final Fantasy as effectively Like, it's almost like donating to charity after you've, it's like, oh, wow, this place, it's like the United States, like, oh, we accidentally bombed a village. Well, yeah, but we helped another village, build a windmill so they can have running water now. So they're always trying to do something to offset something else bad. So if you look at Final Fantasy in the bubble of just Final Fantasy XIV, you're completely right. But I would argue that Square Enix views Final Fantasy XIV as something that builds goodwill with the player base so they can exploit that goodwill later on for many other things that are consumer unfriendly, whether it's something like the Marvel game, a cloud NFT, or whatever else they're going to come up with in the metaverse. So that's just how it works. So I understand what you're saying, but please look at it in context.
For use, that's the entire point. That's how gift cards work. That's how these spend your dollars to turn into this currency, and then that currency turns into purchase, but you never quite get enough for the purchase, so eventually you'll just have money sitting in there and they just get it for free. It's not like it was we're buying digital items, right? We're talking about data here. They're trying to siphon money off of that, in addition to the fact that they're charging you for it. It's a whole thing. Anyway, none of this is surprising, unfortunately. It's also not unique to Diablo 4.
No,
a lot of games do all of this and much more. In fact, many games go a lot further in terms of how far-reaching they are with their monetization.
Like the last Diablo
game? If nothing else, I'm not going to have an entirely negative slant here, because that's just not how I function, right? I'm happy to see that they have stuck to cosmetic only. Based on this survey, they're living up to the word of not having things.
How is it that nobody else has picked up on the fact that you can trade cosmetics in other games? I feel like I'm like the only person that's ever said this. Like this does not fucking reassure me.
Affect the gameplay, just visuals, and that is good. As of yet, they appear to be keeping to their promise. The survey does not show any pay to win or pay for convenience features as of yet.
I would argue that being able to play the game a week early is, if nothing else, pay for convenience. And if you understand how economies work, and especially emerging economies, and being able to have a control over a certain resource very early on, because there's going to be less competition, there's less people on the server, and you have more of those resources, and then whenever there are more people on the server, let's say there's like an egg and it respawns every 5 minutes, and you farm out, you've only got 3 people to compete with, you farm it out for fucking 5 hours, so let's say you get, 2 hours worth of eggs, so you have 70 eggs, but then whenever the game comes out, you're having 80 people that are sitting there farming the same egg, and they're only getting 2 eggs every 5 hours, and then they're buying your eggs that you were able to get 60 in 5 hours for the same value comparatively that the labor that it would take for them to get the 2 eggs per 5 hours. So people, it's the economies. You have to understand it, and if you don't, you're going to get finessed. It took me years to figure out the PoE economy, but there is a reason why people make a mirror on day one, and it's not because they get lucky. It's because they know what the fuck they're doing. And the fact is that there's going to be enough people on each different server, they're going to be able to do that every single time. Trickle-down economics. Yeah, there you go. People say a week, but actually just never new game to farm new games out all of you all day. Yeah. Let's be honest, Dreamland and assume Diablo 4 won't have some sort of pay to win. I hope it won't. I really do. But what I'm saying is that can you guys see how even just having more players in a zone farming for an item, and the item not having a dynamic respawn based on the amount of people that exist in the zone dynamically, that will increase the value of the item. So having a head start is tremendously advantageous. And you have like a force multiplier. So you have like the force multiplier of the person that gets the head start, the person who's leveling faster, the person who understands farming better. So you're using like a 3x multiplier. It's like we're doing dead here, right? Like we're looking at like a 20x multiplier on profits. I did this back whenever Wrath of the Lich King came out. I was one of the first people that had, I was like level 77, and I farmed out like fucking enough titanium to last me for the entire expansion, because I sold it all for like premium prices because nobody else could go to Ice Crown or Storm Peaks and farm it out.
No buying character slots or inventory space or materials or experience potions. None of that. I think the part that's frustrating for me and why I kind of got a bit worked up was that I expect better from Blizzard. That's all it is, really. I probably shouldn't. Like, that's well established by now. Blizzard hasn't done much to still...
I think that any AAA game, you should expect it to be completely fucking predatory. Like, the only games that you can expect that won't be predatory are games that are made by smaller development studios or indie games. You get something like Vampire Survivors. You get something like V Rising. You get something like a... let me think. I mean, I'm sure there's a few other games too, but those are the first two that come off the top of my head. God of War. Well, yeah, you'll have some that are like that too in God of War, like Elden Ring. Every once in a while, it's not that you never have dubs. It's that the dubs are not very common. Okay, like we're always dealing in. Like, Elden Ring was a pleasant surprise, but don't forget that Elden Ring was an oasis in the middle of a desert.
Us with much confidence, and the truth is they are just falling in line with what is currently standard monetization practice for AAA live service games. They are not...
Exactly, and that's just... Again, I think that some of it is reasonable, because you do need to pay people to continuously maintain the game. Servers cost money, of course, right? There are just certain realities. However, if players buy the game and if people are okay with the game, and I think this will always be the case, in my opinion, I think that if Diablo 3 had gacha elements in it, or Diablo 4 had gacha elements in it, it would probably make more money and people would complain about it a little bit, and then people would just keep playing it. If the game is good, people will continue playing it. If the game is bad, people will not continue playing it. Monetization generally does not make or break a game, I think, unless it is just completely over the line. Diablo Immortal died not because it was overly monetized, but because it was bad. Lost Ark is overly monetized, but it's good and people play Lost Ark. It died? Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot less people play Diablo Immortal than they did. Now, obviously, it might go up again in time, but it's undeniable that, especially towards a PC audience, Diablo Immortal was a fundamentally bad game.
Straying far from that line. They're not straying at all. If anything, like I said, they are below it. They are not selling any pay-for-convenience features as of right now. But it's just, you know, again, which is the same old story.
Yeah.
Grew up with the company, grew up playing these games,
yeah.
StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, and there's this level of expectation that comes with it. I am not surprised when some pay-to-win MMO
Tower
cash
Fantasy.
grab comes out. Like, I don't get worked up by it because my expectation bar is super low.
And that's what the problem is that people don't understand that each of those games break the ice a little bit more. It's getting your foot in the door, it's normalizing the practice to consumers, and it is just slowly making it more and more common. Now, I think this is a good thing. I do. I think that the more normalized it gets, the better. The more people do it, the better. Because I think that the reason why pay-to-win games exist in the feature in the way that they do now is that not enough people are educated in the way that they work. And because of that, they don't understand how they're manipulative. And I think that pay to win has to get a lot worse before it gets better, because it is not, it's not at the point where enough people understand it on a fundamental level that can actually enact change about it. Acceleration, yes, unironically, yes. I think people need to, the more people know about it, the better. The more people that play it, the better. And I think that that's the only way it'll ever change, because I just see this as like a very slow growing cancer in gaming. And you can't, it's so small that people are pretending like it's not there.
But in spite of everything, I still have an expectation bar above that for Blizzard. And so just seeing them monetize literally every possible cosmetic and then add a season pass and then make sure that the shop has that digital currency. And then I didn't even touch on the early access stuff. It's just,
I'm actually, I want to hear his opinion on that. It gets better. It's not how it works. The only way that it will ever get better is if there's legislation against it. Gamers have literally zero fucking self-respect, and they have even less self-control. The moment that a 3-minute cinematic comes out that gives them chills, they're going to pre-order the game even if they spent the last 10 years, fucking, you know, telling everybody how great Total Biscuit was because he said never pre-order games. They're going to immediately pre-order the next game. They're going to do it in a second. So, like, the idea that, oh, well, fucking, they're going to understand. No. Fucking, in my viewpoint, accelerate things, radicalize things to the biggest extreme possible, prove to everybody, show how fucking horrible it is at the maximum level, and then maybe people will start listening. Because right now it's too flaccid. It's too passive. That's how I see it. Didn't Diablo Immortal do this? I think Diablo Immortal did accelerate people's awareness of predatory games. I do. I genuinely think that.
It's disappointing. I don't know, but that's on me. I gotta drop the expectations. I should keep them low.
That's cool.
Keep it low. If I say it enough times, it'll sink in, right? And you know, when it comes to early access, also whatever. I mean, they're gracing us with the opportunity to spend money to spread out the server load so that they don't run into.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they do it. Do you think communism will solve us all these problems? Well, of course it would, because you don't have any problems when you're dead.
The same issue they had with Diablo 3, where nobody could play for like a week straight. You can spend money to help with that. Or you can spend money for that early access when things are still busted and you won't even get to play the game. Anyways, I was going to include a whole section here where we were going to like estimate the price of the cosmetics. Basically, I was just going to deduct the base price of the game. Let's say it's $40 from the bundle cost, and then look at what the cosmetics included within those bundles.
Bro, like, I don't even know why you're talking about like a theoretical. Just look at what they charge for Dragonflight. It's going to be like $90 for the Super Premium Deluxe Hellraiser Edition. That's what it's going to be.
Would be for that extra amount of money. But this is also kind of pointless, as these pre-orders and special editions, typically they offer like significantly better value than if you were to purchase these things outright from the in-game store.
Exactly.
So say maybe you can get a $30 skin in your bundle, but that bundle
I want to remind everybody that all skins have the exact same value. $0.00. None of them have any value at all. All they have to do to make a new skin is to do Control-C and Control-V. There's no value at all with any digital currency that exists in these games. Any digital item, zero value.
Cost $10 extra over the price of the game, something like that. So essentially, point is, there's no way to like accurately guess the skin cost from these different bundling offerings. It's
probably
just all completely
$20.
Wild guessings. If I were to ballpark it, though, I would say average looking skins will be like $10 to $20. Some of the cooler ones,
35,
like the premium skins, the glowy ones
35.
with all the neon lights and stuff, probably $30 to $50, somewhere around there. That's kind of what a lot of games do nowadays with these cosmetic offerings. As to whether or not this survey is legitimate, like can we trust any of this information? We of course cannot be 100% certain. There's no way we can know for sure unless the surveys start going out in mass to a ton of people and they all start posting it. At this point, we've only seen a few occurrences, but I will say—
Well, the thing is, like, what they're doing the survey for is that a lot of people don't understand that Diablo Immortal— let's look at how many people Diablo 3 sales. So Diablo 3 has sold 30 million fastest selling PC game, 3.5 million copies in the first 24 hours of the game. So Diablo 4 sold over 3 million copies in the first 24 hours of the game. So you think about the amount of people that have watched this video, right? 175. This video is pretty popular. I assume it'll probably get to like 200, 300, 400,000 views. I'll make a video about it, and collectively, all of the rest of us talking about it might equal 1 million. Like 1 or 2 million people. So half of the people that buy the game, if you use the Diablo 3 statistics, which I do think is not a very good comparison, but it's just a rough comparison, most people will never even hear you whenever you complain about monetization. You are yelling into a void. You are preaching to the choir. Everybody here that is watching the stream is already on the same side with this. But there is no way that we can get that, we can get the microphone to be loud enough for the casual Andes that are just going to see, oh, Diablo 4, I used to play that whenever I was in high school. Diablo 2, okay, let's buy this. That's it. And so like it's a concentric circle of how many people are actually playing these games and care. And I think that for games like Diablo 4, because they're so prevalent. Like, you think about how massive the Diablo franchise is whenever you really think about it. There is no type of monetization that would kill this game. Because there are so many people that are going, they won't know or care about it. They will just buy the game.
The fact that these come from surveys sent out to different regions in different languages, and that the first one was like a cut-off screenshot, but the most recent one showed the survey in its entirety, I think this is a pretty solid chance that this is authentic. We've had some additional bits of corroborating evidence as well. In some of the Reddit threads about these...
I think another very good example is that Blizzard has already done polling in World of Warcraft, asking players how they would feel about like a level 70 boost in Burning Crusade. I'm sure I made a video about it 2 or 3 years ago whenever it happened. So they do preliminary polling like this all the time. Like, it's common sense for any company to do this. And they did it with Classic WoW, they did it with Burning Crusade, and again with Wrath, and it just makes sense they're going to do it with Diablo 4 because it's the same company, so you'd assume it's the same type of marketing.
Leaked surveys, I saw several commenters claiming that they got sent the exact same thing. But then beyond that, you should also be aware that surveys like this are very common. Blizzard does it all the time. Earlier in the year, they had sent out surveys gauging players' interest in NFTs and crypto. That was super exciting. But then just recently, we saw surveys like this sent out about the pricing of Overwatch 2 skins, which, as you can see here, part of that survey was just a simple table with multiple bundle options at various price points, which is...
You saw that $30 for a skin.
Really the exact same formatting as this Diablo 4 survey. So my best guess is that yes, this is real. They do plan on selling everything mentioned in the survey.
Yes.
It's just at this point a matter of debate as to what the pricing will be. And then going forward, we will just have to wait and see what else they're going to ask money for, whether they're going to try to sell currencies, resources, inventory, and stash space. And don't forget, they sold stash space in Diablo 3. Reaper Souls gave you bonus shared stash.
Why would they not share stash space? Or what? Like, they should sell that. Like, if I was at Blizzard, I would tell them to sell it. Now, for players, it's bad, because allowing people to buy stash space effectively means that the developers no longer have to solve the problem with item bloat, right? Because now it becomes profitable for there to be item bloat. But the thing is, PoE already has, like, they will do, and I guarantee you this is what's going to happen, is that, like, Diablo 4 will have a lot of the same features that Path of Exile has, and they will, everybody in Diablo 4 will say, well, PoE has it, why is it okay for PoE to do it, but not Diablo 4? And so they're going to, like, basically anything that PoE has, you can pretty much expect that Diablo 4 will have it as well.
That's a thing they've already done. Or even character slots, like maybe you can only make 4 characters for free and then you have to pay for more. I'm sure we're going to be hearing soon enough, though, because there's already also been a ton of leaks out of testing.
PoE is free to play. Yeah, but like the thing is, people aren't going to give a shit about that. I think that it's very, like, you can say that, but it is very obvious that a game cannot exist forever based off of a box price. That's just the facts.
That is currently happening for Diablo 4, which brings us to the next part of the video. Blizzard has begun friends and family testing for the game. According to
it'll be out very soon. People say I don't agree with me. You're not agreeing with me. I'm telling you what people are going to think. Now, you can clip this right now, and if I'm wrong in a year from now and everybody is not okay with this, then I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. I really don't think so, because I've seen it happen dozens of times over the last 15 years that I've played video games, right, online. I've seen it happen a long time. This is what I think is going to happen.
Jason Schreier this started earlier in the month, and while under NDA, he said that it had been getting mostly positive buzz. Now, maybe unsurprisingly, some of Blizzard's friends and family members didn't quite grasp the concept of what an NDA was, and so now we've got a bunch of new information about the game. So for starters, there was a short clip released that showed the intro cinematic as well as the login screen and the character creator, during which the person recording said, "Bro, I really don't even know if I can even stream this." My bro. No. No, you cannot, but thank you for your sacrifice. We appreciate the information. So the character creator had several preset options to choose from for face hair, accessories, and coloring. There appears to be no option to adjust character height or body composition, so it does seem that each class in the game will have their own distinct silhouettes. And then when finalizing your character, you are given the option to choose from normal, seasonal, or hardcore, which is similar to how things are done with Diablo 3. But then after you select that, you get to choose a starting difficulty. There was World Tier 1 called Adventurer, which was suggested for new players, and then World Tier 2 Veteran, which ramps up the enemy difficulty in exchange for better drops, experience, and gold. And then finally, there was an additional layer of choosing more or less guidance for the game's starting tutorial. Oh, and I am not actually going to show any of the leaked video or images here because it's a guaranteed way to get this video taken down. If you are interested, it's just a quick Diablo 4 alpha leak Google search away. Also, bless the people who leaked this information. Unfortunately, since there were watermarks with account identifiers plastered all over the content, whoever did so has almost certainly lost their access. I guess consider it a learning opportunity of what an NDA is. Now, as for what we saw here, there was nothing especially surprising in these leaks. The character creator was pretty straightforward, and for me at least, not too important with how rarely we get a close-up look of our characters in top-down ARPGs. The thing that I am quite interested in, though, is this world tier system. Now, while you may just want to jump to the conclusion that this would function like it does in Diablo 3, where you pick your difficulty, the torment level as it's called, and that scales the challenges as well as the rewards, and then you launch the game and there you go. You have to remember the main difference here is that Diablo 4 is an open world MMO light, and you're going to see players running around as you move through the world. You'll see people farming mobs, doing quests, fighting bosses, participating.
I don't want it to be like in Diablo Immortal though. Like whenever you had like more than 2 people farming in a zone, you were just constantly fighting for respawns. I don't want to fight for respawns. It's fucking annoying. And also, it's either annoying for me or it's annoying for somebody else. Less density than Immortal. Yeah. Like, it sucks. It's a waste of time, and it makes you resent the people around you. Like, it's just... With WoW, I think it's perfect. Like, you can tag a mob, like 100% tag, you get the item, you get everything, right? Even if you do 1 damage and the boss has 1,000,000 health, you get all the credit. I think that's how it should be.
In public events, other players will be pretty much everywhere all the time, the one exception being some of the game's instance dungeons. So with that in mind, I'm really interested to see how this world tier system plays out. I would have to assume that we will be placed in lobbies with people of the same tier, especially considering things like world bosses and public events, where the different difficulties presumably couldn't play together. Although it is possible, I do recall some games having done something along the lines of encounter scaling based on an individual player setting. So for example, like if I picked World Tier 2, maybe it takes like 100 fireballs for me to kill this world boss, but then someone comes along in World Tier 1 and they can kill the boss in 75 fireballs.
I'm just assuming that there's going to be different like layers or different channels or phases. So everybody that you see is in World Tier 1, 2, or 3 if you are in Tier 1, 2, or 3. It's like war mode. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We could technically still play together, and then just our rewards from that boss would be dictated by the tier that we're on. So I would get more gold and better loot drops. It could work, but it also sounds a little clunky. Like, would it really play out that the player with the higher difficulty is just straight up weaker, taking longer to kill the boss, or dying in fewer hits? I mean, I guess it makes sense. If you're on a higher difficulty, things are harder. And, you know, level scaling is one thing. We do know that level scaling will be in the game, but this world tier system or this difficulty setting, it seems a whole lot more complicated. So for that reason,
in my opinion, I don't think it's complicated at all. It is not complicated in any way in my mind. You just have everybody that is on, you know, like you want to look like normal, hell, and nightmare mode. Or normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno. Well, you just have 4 different fucking versions of the game that are running simultaneously. So like if you're playing on hell mode, you're only going to see people that are on hell mode. If you're playing on inferno mode, you're only going to see people that are on inferno mode. Because yeah, if you're on inferno mode and then somebody else is on easy mode, well, can't you just have somebody kill all of the mobs for you really easily with easy mode, and then you tag them and you get all the loot with inferno mode level rewards? It's exploitable as fuck. So you can't have that. You have to have it to where it is the same for everybody.
To say they'll just keep it simple, and they will have separate instances based on the world tier that you select. Although that also makes things more complicated when it comes to playing with friends. I don't know. And I swear I heard there would be over 20. I actually heard there would be over 30 difficulty settings. I don't know if that means 30 world tiers, because that would be ridiculous. There's no way they've got 30 different hoppers for people. I don't know. I'm interested to...
I think 30 different difficulty settings, what that really does in my mind, because this is kind of what they did with Diablo Immortal, where like they had like Hell 1, Hell 2, and Hell 3, right? Is you don't get to feel the value of your character becoming more powerful. One of the big, really cool things in Path of Exile is being able to phase Shaper in 1 second. And you earn that. You earn that accomplishment, like, you know, being able to one-shot the Phoenix or like do whatever the fuck, right? So making it to where like there's just all of these infinite scalers that just keep you in line to where like, oh, you can't get too far ahead, but you can't get too far behind. It just makes it to where what that really does is it takes agency away from the player. Because like now the player doesn't have the control over like effectively their character's power in the world. It's determined by some secondary system that is bestowed upon them. I don't like
I'm interested to see how this world tier thing plays out. Outside of that, there was also some leaked information around smart loot and restricted trading. Although I do believe we've known about both of these for a while. I'm not sure.
I don't think that they should have smart loot. They should have maybe like while you're leveling, there should be like a 50% chance that you get more items with intellect than strength. And like all quest rewards should be intellect based, or you should be able to click an intellect based option. But I don't think that they should have smart loot that much. I don't think they should have restricted trading at all. You should be able to trade and do whatever the fuck you want, because that is why I really enjoy PoE. Because every map that I get something, I win. But whenever you have restricted trading, that takes a lot of potential W's and it turns them into L's. Because even if I get something that is a 9 out of 10 item, but like I remember like one time I got a really good helmet and I had like a double Elder crafted, Essence crafted helmet with like 30% more damage. And I got a helmet that was almost that good. And if I wasn't able to sell that helmet for like, it was like 10x or whatever the fuck that I got for it, the feeling that I would get for getting that helmet would be shitty. Because I would think, man, I just wasted my really good roll on something that I already had, and now I have to fucking wait for it to happen again. I think that trading is what made Diablo 3 vanilla fun, and it gave it longevity. And I think also trading is what gave Diablo 2 longevity. There should not be any trading restrictions whatsoever. And what Blizzard, whenever you're saying, oh, we have trading restrictions, what that says to me is that Blizzard is throwing in the towel because they're not going to manage the game. So if you're not going to have trading restrictions, get your botnets ready, because Blizzard's not going to invest money into customer service. You see what I'm saying? Good for you. Oh, it's great for me. I mean, Quinn was right. I saw Quinn had a clip who was like, oh, if they don't have restricted trading, guess who's going to be the most geared person? They're like, who? Asmongold. Goddamn fucking right. And the thing is, that's not really true. Plenty of people will do the same stuff that I will do as well. But I'll get up there, okay? I'll say that. Arguing for no restriction because he wants handouts is autistic. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I'm talking about, like, Diablo 3. Like, I played that shit whenever, like, I had like $20 in my bank account. Like, I had nothing really. Well, I did have something in the game. It was Real Money Auction House. But, like, that was a more fun experience for me. I wasn't a streamer or anything back then.
If Blizzard ever confirmed smart loot, which is basically loot drops that are weighted to your class. So, for example, you won't get a bunch of druid staves if you're playing as a barbarian. I don't know if
it should be like a 50% more. type situation. It shouldn't be like you only get warrior loot. Because I think one of the good things about Diablo 3, like this is like it's like a meta thing, is that you would get, let's say you would get Wand of Woe. That was a really, really good item. And you think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I'll try a CM wizard. Maybe I'll try a critical mass wizard. And I'll see what it's like because you get a really good weapon. So I think that you should have drops that happen for classes that are not your own because it creates a foray into trying that other class. You see what I'm saying?
Came out and explicitly said that that was going to be in Diablo 4, but it was a feature in Diablo 3. So I assumed as much. Limited trading, on the other hand, we have known about. Back at BlizzCon 2019, they touched on this, saying the idea is that we have 3 different types of tradable items. There's a class of items that can always be traded no matter what, and then we have a class of items that are tradable, say, one time. We are also thinking the highest quality, most powerful things in the game should be items you can't trade at all, that you have to earn yourself. You have to go do those endgame dungeons and kill monsters to get the loot. So these leaks coming out of the Friends and Family Alpha,
I think that's totally fine as long as the loot is deterministic. So, for example, let's say you have to kill Mephisto. Let's say Mephisto is somehow back in Diablo 4 and he's the hardest boss in the game, and that's all there is to it. And if you kill Mephisto, you get, what's the fucking chess piece? Tyrael's Might, I think that's what it's called, in Diablo 2 that's like super rare. Let's say you get Tyrael's Might, and you get Tyrael's Might, like, 1 out of like every 5 or 10 times you kill Mephisto. Well, I think that's totally fine if it's a locked item. But the problem is that whenever you have an entire fucking spectrum of loot drops, and then anything can drop from anything, then I think that's whenever the problem happens. I think deterministic loot makes restricted trading more okay to me. Because it means that like the people that have the items earned those items for accomplishing specific things.
Is like limited trading in the test. That's not news, but this has brought back up the whole debate around smart loot and around limited trading. And that can be an entire video in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, the long and the short of it is really limiting trading. There's the arguments for it are that it's supposed to help combat bots and real money transactions where people spend money to trade items directly with other people using third-party sites. But then, of course, the big argument against it is that this is just implemented into games to pad out playtime, forcing players to grind things over and over again, just relying on...
I actually think it does the opposite. I think it does the opposite because, like, the difference is that, like, let's say in Path of Exile, you get to the point to where every single upgrade for your character is at least 4 Exalted Orbs, let's say. Most people, if they couldn't trade, would probably quit. Because they would know that they plateaued out. But if you can trade and buy those items, you're able to just keep going. You can just keep farming. You can just keep building up resources and then finally work towards those goals. So I actually think that allowing trading extends playtime by a tremendous amount for most players.
On the small percentage chance drops for certain items and not being able to engage with other people and have this like functioning.
It's also another thing, like trading does encourage grinding because like you'll get to the point where you realize, okay, like I got to this point. How many of you guys got to this point in Diablo 3? Okay, I have Witching Hour. It's primal. Or I have like an Ancient Witching Hour. And it has 49 out of 50% critical strike damage increase. I just need 1 point and then I'm good. And you think to yourself, what are the odds of Witching Hour dropping? What are the odds of Witching Hour Ancient dropping? What are the odds of that roll happening? What are the odds of the other rolls being similar or equivalent to what I already have? You just do the math and you quit the game. That's what I do. I do the math. But if there's a way that I could get that, like I did get, like I remember I got a Cinder Swallow Flask and I went from like fucking 78% to 80%. I was like, I want to get it all the way. I want to get it perfect. I want to have a perfect one, and I can do that in that game. So it actually does encourage more grinding because you have a path to progression. No trading takes away the path.
Game player economy. Pros and cons to both systems. Like I said, it could be an entire video in and of itself, but I just wanted to share with you those links, those leaks that, yes, it looks like the smart loot drops and limited trading are in fact going to be in the game, at least as of the current build in the Friends and Family Alpha. Speaking of which, the existence of this Friends and Family Alpha pretty much confirms that we're probably going to be getting closed beta testing sometime soon. It's likely that they will be sending out just small pools of people. They're going to be sending out invites because Friends and Family typically in the past for Blizzard games have begun like a few months before closed betas started going out. So yeah, there is a decent chance playtests might actually be starting this fall for Diablo 4, which is pretty exciting. All of my concerns about the game and all my frustrations about the game, it all stems from an interest in the game, an interest in the franchise, and wanting to see how things play out. The monetization stuff, it is, like I said, really disappointing. It's really frustrating that they're going as far as they are, but on the flip side, at least
at least it's not pay to win. That's a good point. How would they combat third-party RMT though? It's very simple. So if you see somebody who trades a Stone of Jordan, they just traded 35 Stones of Jordan to this new account that started playing 3 weeks ago. You do a check on the account that all of the Stones of Jordan got traded to, and you're like, okay, this isn't some streamer's account. There was no prior communication with the previous account. They're not on each other's friends list. This was the first interaction these two accounts had with each other, and he just happened to trade him 35 Stones of Jordan out of nowhere. I think this is RMT. Not streamer was free pass. Well, it's not about it being a streamer being a free pass. It's about being able to rule out something else. So, like, for example, if you had your friend trade you 35 Stones of Jordan, I think you should be able to completely do that because you're friends with each other and you should be able to trade gear back and forth. What I'm saying is that, like, you are ruling out, in the process of troubleshooting, the way that you troubleshoot and find the answer to something is you find what all the wrong answers aren't. So, like, you find out, like, is it because of this? No. Okay, rule that out. Okay, is it because of this? No. Rule that out. Yeah, this is the way that you solve problems.
For now, they have lived up to their promise of keeping it cosmetic only, and the battle pass is just something they neglected to mention. Yeah, right.
Somebody said too many loopholes there, man. No, there's not. It's very common sense. Like, it's something that works 99.9% of the time. Too many loopholes there. Give me a loophole and I'll tell you how to close it, because I know how to cheat in every fucking way, and I know how to detect it in every fucking way because I was the one doing the cheating. And I was thinking to myself, I hope they don't look at it from this perspective because I can't fucking do this. I can fucking guarantee you that you can figure it out 99.9% of the time, and the reason why they don't is because they're lazy and they want to save money. That's why. If an RMTer becomes a streamer for a short period of time to pick up the stuff, well, I think you can easily detect if that's happening too. I mean, again, so all of these theoretical problems are actually super simple. But the only reason that you guys are making them seem like they're problems is that you are assuming literally the dumbest person on the planet is reviewing the case. If you have representatives that understand the game, that are being well paid, like the people in Final Fantasy, like, it's like Soda does the name, right? The Drader Reg or whatever it was, right? And they're like, well, we know what you're doing, change your name. And he's like, what am I doing? And you're like, come on. And they're like, okay, all right, it's fine. So you hire people that have experience, common sense, and a protocol, and you solve all of these problems. And you will never, by the way, is it worth it to have 1% of people, like a very small amount of RMT for the entire player base to be able to trade? Yes, I think so. Path of Exile has RMT. Every fucking game has RMT. I would rather have a very small but risky level of RMT and full trading than not have any trading at all. That's the way I see it. And you can't get rid of RMT either. Yeah, you're still going to have RMT. Of course, they get fed items. I thought this before you were born. I was getting items farming for myself before you were born. I don't want to hear about it.
Coincidence they neglected to mention, but if that is also cosmetic only, I guess they haven't lied about it. I guess they just you know, they're putting on the extra layer of FOMO, like make sure you play every day so you can get enough experience to level the battle pass and get those cosmetic.
I think FOMO games are here to stay, like battle passes, dailies, etc. Every game wouldn't be adopting this if it didn't work. Every game does this. Every fucking get so easy to RMT and PoE? Yeah, but is your experience ruined because somebody else is RMTing? I think that's the interesting question. I would say no.
And also, you probably want to spend the money because all the good stuff is locked behind that premium track. The top track is all garbage. You're wearing trash bags, basically. Yeah, but keep in mind, when I talk about stuff like this and when I make these videos going in on certain aspects of games, it's because I'm genuinely interested. There's so many games out there that I never talk about, I never cover, I don't care. So many games that do way worse than this that I don't spend time railing into because the expectation and
so we're not gonna get
my
a Tower
interest level
video.
is too low. It doesn't matter. But the stuff that I'm interested in,
I understand.
like all the talk about the day before game and all the issues surrounding that potentially and stuff like this, it's because there's a level of interest. I am actively invested in how this thing turns out, for better or worse. I'll be here for the ride. So there you go. That is all the recent information about monetization, friends and family leaks, and all that stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, the talk, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
This was a great video. I really think this is awesome. I looked online to try to find some of this information. I didn't see it at all. This is some actual grade A, high quality fucking content for Force Gaming. I'm going to link the video. Give it a like. Give him a sub. We've watched a lot of his stuff before, and we continue to because it's fucking amazing. Yeah, there we fucking go, guys. Great video. Yeah, it's a great video. Like, it's a good breakdown. It's a good understanding. Obviously, I'm actually hoping and looking forward to whenever he potentially does a video talking a little bit more about, like, the pros and cons of each one of these things, especially with things like restricted trading, because I think it's something that's very important to be talked about with the community. It's the wrong game. No, it's not, is it? Wrong link. Okay, let me go back over, and I'll copy... Okay, there you go again, guys. That must be the previous video. Yeah, there you go, guys. This is exactly what I think everybody expected. And it's also what I said, and people that called me a doomer, I wonder what they're saying now. Well, now they're probably saying it's all... Oh, guys, it's only a survey. They're not going to do this. And then, oh, well, it's only the release. It's different. They're not going to do this all the time. Well, yeah, but it's the beginning of the season. They're not going to do this all the time. Well, yeah, but every other game has this, so why not? Yeah, of course, right? They'll fix it in the beta. They'll fix it in the alpha. They'll fix it in the release. They'll fix it in the pre-release. They'll fix it in the head start. They'll fix it whenever the game actually goes live for everybody. They'll fix it on the first season. They'll fix it in the second season. There's the second season. They'll fix it on the fifth season. They'll fix it in the first expansion. They'll fix it in Diablo 5. They'll fix it in Diablo 5 alpha. You see what I'm saying? It's just a second season. Yeah. Exactly, and my grandson will fix it. Maybe someday it will be fixed. Genshin 3.0 trailer. Yeah, sure, I'll watch it real quick, and then I want to go back and do some more stuff in the game. Okay, give me a second. Genshin Impact 3.0. Okay, let's watch it. Here we go. Are they ruining Diablo 4? It seems like it. Yeah. Let's see. Which one should I watch? Is it the third one? This one has 2.3 million views and it's published by Genshin Impact. Yeah, okay. All right, let's watch it. Okay, so... Oh, I was actually just playing this game. Give me a second. Let me go back over. I got to take a piss and then I'll be good to go. Have you watched the latest Peon video? No, I haven't. I will. I just haven't yet. It's the Ashes of Creation one. I'll talk about that when I get back. Okay, here we go. Let's get this out of the way. Every game borrows. I don't know why people complain about games stealing ideas from other games. It's like they're the ones that own the copyright. Like, you don't have any fucking vested interest in any of these games. You don't make any money. Like, if the game's good, who the fuck, like, why the fuck do you care if they take something or not? It's a sense of ownership. Yeah, who cares? All right, here we go. Let's watch it. This is the new Genshin Impact version 3.0.
Have you heard of Irmin's soul before?
No.
The Dendro Archon is known as the god of wisdom because her consciousness is directly connected to it.
To the people of Sumeru, she's not only a symbol of wisdom, but also of power and kindness.
Is that right?
Unfortunately, she disappeared in a great calamity a few hundred years ago.
Well, that's unpleasant.
The sages later found the newly born Dendro Archon and whisked her back to Sumeru.
It's Lesser Lord Kusanelli's birthday. Nilu's Dance of Sabzerus is about to begin.
Wait, did they say wishes? Like, isn't that how you got... Wait, so even the people in the game are doing the gacha pulls? So the people in the game do gacha pulls too. Damn, that's smart. Yeah, you fucking you build that into the lore. I like this. That's impressive. Okay.
The most important performance at the Sabzerus festival.
The goddess of flowers began to dance. Countless beautiful body stars began to bloom wherever she stepped.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Though we're just tiny people compared to the divine, we still have to do our best to make sure that the birthday girl feels loved on her special day.
I love the visuals. I think these are phenomenal. They're amazing. Mokoko's, yeah, like my dad and I, we put up Easter egg houses every year, and we have like these little Easter egg houses that are made of, you know, like little eggs or hollowed out that have like windows in them and shit. So like I love seeing this, man. It makes me so nostalgic.
The stage is going to be even prettier when it's festival time. I can't wait for you to see it.
This is awesome.
Trainee Forest Ranger Collie reporting for duty. Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Man.
The withering has been recorded in Sumeru for millennia. It's said that it originates from the depths of the world.
Is that right?
I'm afraid we rangers will be battling the withering zones here for a long time. Many plants in the rainforest are already in decline. One with the forest.
Why she have fox ears?
Let's nip that in the bud.
Wait, that's a he?
It's a tool produced by
academia
that utilizes the legacy of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata.
You may use an Akasha terminal to connect.
I guess I could have assumed that it was a guy, because if it wasn't, the beginning of the cinematic or the character introduction would have begun with like an upskirt shot or something like that. So yeah, you can pretty much assume it's probably actually a guy.
Connect directly to the Akasha and access any knowledge you need.
The Divine Knowledge Capsule should be up for a secret auction within the next few days. Use it, and you'll gain the wisdom of the gods.
Wow.
I need you to find someone, a traveling merchant.
What kind of products do you seek, my dear customers? Shazam! Here's the goods!
What's that, Aladdin?
It really sounds like something big outside of the city is being hidden on purpose.
Oh man.
My words, our
These
God
bosses?
shall return. All will suffer retribution together.
You all saw that just now?
Uh-huh.
The Grand Sage ordered us to stop the performance.
Oh no.
Maybe they see Lesser Lord Kusanelli's birth as confirmation of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata's death.
True.
Aren't you ashamed of pursuing such frivolous and meaningless activities in this land of knowledge and reason?
This device, it's extracting energy from the ley line.
It looks like he used the Divine Knowledge Capsule.
The Sabzerus Festival. What? Go celebrate the birth of that god.
What's happening? Oh, come on!
Our Archon created the utopia that is Snow City for all scholars who sought validity, verity, and truth.
Oh my God.
Like you wish to defile it.
It would be too risky to continue the Zackrawrr's festival at this point. I don't want to get everyone in trouble.
We don't have any more festivals to waste.
Are you really so ignorant? Or are you just living in complete denial?
The world forget.
Damn, that's pretty fucking cool. God damn. Like, I love how, like, every time, it's so funny to me that, like, Elden Ring's tree was so definitive that now every other tree in the game is viewed as ripping off Elden Ring. Anytime there's a tree in any game, it's like, stealing from Elden Ring. Yep, of course. Yeah, it's like now, like, they basically own trees. Okay. Wow. It's pretty cool. It's a boss. Okay. Okay. It is a lot like Tower Fantasy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The combat looks pretty clean. I'll have to say that. They copied Tower Fantasy, yeah, true. The combat does look very clean. I like that. Like the nameplates and everything like that, yeah. Okay. 2-piece sets. New weapons. It's a swordfish. Oh, the weapons look pretty cool, man. I really like the sword and the big sword. Yeah. This looks good to me. I mean, shit. Like, yeah, I mean, that seems fine. Pretty much free. Yeah, sure. How did Breath of the Wild clone become so big? Well, the thing is, anime girls are, that's what people like. And the thing is, not only, the big thing with, like, the anime girl type content, like, this is, like, a huge factor that a lot of people don't understand because we don't have contact with these other people, is that girls love these fucking games. It's not just a bunch of fedora-wearing, atheism-loving, fucking pimple-ridden, fat neckbeards living in their basement. No. It's actually a lot of girls that love these fucking games. And the reality is that there are a lot of girls out there. There's like, I've heard there's like thousands of them, like millions maybe, right? So if you think about all those girls that they're not playing any real video games, that no way, yeah, I don't think so either, but you know, it's just what I hear, right? It's like science or something. And so they're not playing any video games like Animal Crossing or like some other game, right? So if you have a game like Genshin Impact that doesn't have a lot of other competitors that girls can get into and play and really enjoy, you have a tremendous, massive audience. And if you think that it's not a tremendous audience, go over and watch beauty videos. Look at the viewership on like how to put on X or Y thing for like some new mascara line. And like these videos have like fucking 5-10 million views. And it's like, we're not watching any of this. Like, I'm not watching it, you're not watching it, but there's like this huge audience of people that we don't even see that are just, that this is what they do. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I think Genshin Impact is a lot larger than we might imagine in like our sphere, right? In our manosphere. Because like, whenever my viewership of female viewers doubled in Final Fantasy, it went from like 1 to 1.5% to 2 to 3%. This is a male space. Almost everybody that's watching this stream is a guy. That's a fact. That's what the numbers show. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm totally fucking fine with it. All I'm saying is that a lot of these games, they appeal to women on a much higher ratio than a lot of these other, like World of Warcraft, maybe even. Like in Final Fantasy. That's one of the reasons Final Fantasy is so popular, is there's a lot of girls that play the game. Like, girls historically have not really been into video games as much as guys have. And so you have games like this that do attract that female audience naturally without having it be forced or weird or something like that. And they have, like, think about it, right? You have twice as many people that you can have be your target audience. I mean, there you go. And so now, bro, I know a few girls that watch your stream. Yeah, I know a few as well, but I also know about 1,000 guys that do. Like, every time, as I've told you guys, every time there's been a fucking somebody that comes up to me in real life, it's some guy, he's got a fucking, you know, maybe he's balding, maybe he's got a gray beard, he's probably got both, and he comes up to me, he's like, bro, big dick, man. Boy, I watch your videos all the time. They're fucking great. Yo, that shit with Diablo Immortal, fuck that game. Bro, we used to play Diablo 2. Man, I hope they don't do that to Diablo 4. Can I get a picture? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I take a picture with him. He's like, all right. He leaves. And I see him. He's like, okay, honey. All right, let's go. And that's it. You know, that's what it is. And like, you could see, like, the wife or the girlfriend in the background. Because, you know, it's like, she probably recognized me too. And, you know, for a different reason. And so, yeah, this shit happens all the time. So, yeah, it's mainly guys that watch the show. Like, that's what it is. And 2.0 trailer was the best. I might watch it if I watch another one. But we'll see. And for a different reason. Yeah. Well, not for that. No, not for that reason. I mean, it's because they're watching it because, like, their boyfriend or husband or brother or somebody else is watching. You do with some of the males. Not everyone who likes weeb stuff. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, the thing is, every game that you play is going to attract and alienate an audience of people. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're playing Tower Fantasy or Diablo Immortal or Diablo 2. You will alienate and attract a different group of people. And the best thing that I can hope for is that people that watch the show enjoy my content and they stick around for the next game. Because I do like playing a lot of different types of games in general, and I think that over time you just build up that core audience of people who just like watching you for you. I've done that with WoW. I did that for years with WoW. I did a little bit of that with Dark Souls. I did that with Elden Ring. I did that with Final Fantasy. And at the end of the day, you have more total people in your core audience. So I think, yeah, and now, yeah, Tower Fantasy. There were people that discover my content through Tower Fantasy, and they stick around and they watch me play Final Fantasy 14 again, or play World of Warcraft Dragonflight, and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's a snowball. You just pick up more and more people. And so, yeah, I'll read a few comments about this, and then we'll move on. Find it interesting how popular Lost Ark is with Korean girls. I think it's just popular over in Korea in general. I think it's much more popular over there. I don't know why it would be popular specifically with Korean girls. I have no idea. Imagine your viewer base whenever you're playing Genshin. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it came from, Johnny Depp. People discovered my stream through Johnny Depp, and they're watching me react to a Genshin Impact trailer. Like, I think that's a W. And you see a new Final Fantasy raid sets? I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I did. I talk a lot about Genshin compared to other games to Genshin, even though you've never played it. Well, the reason I have recently is because we've been playing Tower of Fantasy, and Tower of Fantasy is tremendously derivative of Genshin Impact. So yeah, of course. And I use also Genshin Impact. I think Genshin Impact is a very important game because Genshin Impact was the first game that, in my mind, besides FIFA, that had a gacha system that was tremendously successful in the West. Yeah, I think that's why it's so important, and it's also one of the biggest games in the world right now, whether you like it or not. What's this here? Guys, it won't be able to stand 8 hours of Paimon dialogues as introduction. Well, I don't know what that is. I think aren't the Paimons the little like the characters like Mia and Tower of Fantasy? I think so. Why are you watching streaming here instead of Asmongold? So I know people ask this all the time. The reason why I'm streaming on this channel is because I'm not able to keep up a regular schedule with my main stream. I've been dealing with some things with my real life. I've been getting a lot of my teeth fixed, and honestly, talking the way that I have, I'm already starting to feel it like kind of fatiguing me. So we're gonna get back to just doing some games and chilling like very soon. And like the front of my basically my teeth got broken in the first set of dental surgery that I had. And the process of that is it was repaired in a way that makes it uncomfortable to talk regularly. And it's really actually not the dentist's fault because those teeth were already brittle and rotten to begin with. So I'm getting those fixed. I have an appointment date. It's going to be 10 days from now. And after I do that, I'm going to recover from that. And I plan on coming back to streaming after that. Basically, I had a lot of real life things happen kind of like on the same day. And I realized that like my life is like completely was like, and is still, but less to an extent now that I have other things taken care of, completely out of control, right? Like I'd lost control of, you know, everything I was doing. And it was just like, I had so many loose ends, everything like that. So I've gone through, cleaned up the house, and, you know, I've tried to, like my room is a lot cleaner, etc. And that's why. So I'm just trying to get some of that shit taken care of, and then we'll be back to the normal schedule and doing everything else. I'm not sad. No, I'm not sad. You know, there's things that make me sad sometimes, but no, I'm good. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. That's what's happening. That's what it is. So yeah, it's not like I'm like quitting. I'm not unhappy with the state of my stream. There are things that annoy me with the stream, right? Like a constant Final Fantasy WoW player war of like, you know, oh, this game is better, or, oh, I wish WoW had this or whatever. Like it's just, I hate that. It's annoying. It's exhausting. But overall, I'm happy with the state of my stream. I'm happy with the state of the community. I'm happy about everything. I just need to do this because it's just, it's been ruining my life. And it's completely my fault, by the way. It's not like this happened to me. I did this to myself. So yeah, that's why. What's this here? Captain Grimm new video. I'll watch it tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Do you regret starting Final Fantasy 14 for that sometimes? No. Why would I regret that at all? Like I like the game a lot. I love the story of the game. I'm not a huge fan of the combat. I don't think it's that great, but I think the game is good. I enjoy the game. So yeah, why would I regret playing Final Fantasy?